To start us off, we have a dramatic intern tonight, and it went to regionals as well as was an alternate for state. So please welcome Miss Christina Clark.
While we were staying in Florida, it was so weird. My son Eric woke up screaming in the middle of the night, and we had a nightmare that something terrible was going to happen to us. And it did. Each year in America, roughly 10,000 people are wrongfully convicted, which leads us to wonder how many people are wrongfully executed. In the Exonerated, Sonia Jacobs and her husband Jesse are two of these many people whose innocence was discovered a little too late. The Exonerated, by Jessica Blank and Eric Jensen. In 1976, I was sentenced to death row, which for me wasn't a row at all because I was the only woman in the country who had the sentence of death. So I told them to just put me in the same cell as my husband. But let me start at the beginning. When I was 26, Jesse and I had been together for 3 years. Our daughter had just been born, and Jesse said he was going to get himself a regular job, maybe painting murals or something, but he needed to go to Florida one last time to do a little deal. Now, I didn't want to know about this deal because I knew it wasn't positive, and finally Jesse calls and says that the deal fell through, and not only is he broke and has no way home, but he's staying with some girl. So of course I told him I'd go get him, and I piled the kids up in the car and we left. My son Eric was 9, and I was driving, shifting, singing, and nursing Tina all at the same time, and it was like driving through the 10 plagues. The first being the oil leaking all over the road, and the last, you know those little love bugs that smash themselves on your window? Anyway, we get there, get Jesse, the car breaks. And we're all stuck in Florida. So Jesse says he'll ask this guy he knows if we can stay with them for a while till we can get enough money to get home. And that's when I met Walter Rhodes. So we're all stuck in Florida staying at Walter Rhodes' sleazebag apartment. And it was obvious he was doing something illegal there. The miserable days pass, and Eric stopped sleeping from his nightmare. And honestly, I couldn't stay with Rhodes another night. So he finally agreed to give me, Jesse, and the kids a ride home. We left, but the traffic got bad and it was getting late, so the decision was made to pull off road until morning. Then the cops came to do a routine check on the rest area, and when they looked through the window, they see a gun between Rhodes' feet. They order him out of the car, ask for his ID, the policeman calls it in. Then they ask Jesse to get out, and the police radio comes back with the announcement that Rhodes is on parole. And possession of a gun is a parole violation, and that changed everything. The policeman drew his gun, and all happened so fast. I just ducked down to cover the kids, and then there was silence. I mean, dead silence. There wasn't an earthly sound, and then Rhodes runs around the front of the cop car with a gun in his hand, telling us to go with him. I mean, Rhodes had just killed 2 policemen, had a gun, and was telling us to go with him. And you know, people say, why didn't you just refuse to go? And I think, you've never been at the other end of a gun, have you? You were kidnapped at that point, and you didn't dare argue with him. You started driving a while, and then the traffic started to get really bad, and you get your helicopters, and I knew there was a roadblock somewhere ahead. And then out of nowhere, Rhodes makes a sharp left, and then we see a whole line of policemen. And they start opening fire on the car. So again, I covered the kids, and finally we crashed. A whole bunch of cops surround us, and I was trying to explain that we were kidnapped, but they wouldn't listen to me. One of them asked me if I was aware of the fact that I'd been charged and arrested on first-degree murder. But what I didn't know is at the same moment I was being questioned and Jesse was being questioned, was Rhodes, who was sent to the ER after the crash, was negotiating a deal from his hospital bed. He'd been in prison before. He knew how the system worked. So he was claiming that he didn't do it. And we did. Jesse was tried first, and yeah, of course, no dream team, no expert witnesses. So he was convicted and sentenced to death. My trial came later, and I thought, well, surely that wouldn't happen to me. I mean, I was a hippie. I'm a vegetarian. How could you possibly think that I would kill someone, especially two cops? So I thought I'd go in and they figured I didn't do it. But that's not how it works. There was hiding of evidence that would have proven I didn't do it. The jury wasn't even allowed to know that Rhodes had accepted a plea bargain of 3 life sentences in exchange for his testimony. I didn't have good attorneys. I didn't have thousands and thousands of dollars. So I was convicted and sentenced to death. You know, I knew exactly what I was going to do. They're going to send 2200 volts of electricity throughout your body until you're dead. And after the judge reads the sentence, they ask, do you have anything to say to that? And it's really kind of dumbfounding. After she read it, I just said, are you finished? I didn't have anything to say. How can you say anything to that? They housed Jesse and I in different jails, so we wrote letters to each other. I had 15 years worth of letters between Jesse and I. I saved not only the letters, but the envelopes. Because anything that Jesse touched, or wrote on, or licked with his tongue, I was keeping. And I wouldn't even read the letters when I first got them. I just carry them around with me and hold it. And I'd open it. I wouldn't read it with tongue. I would just look to see. How about he was happy when he heard it? Or sad? With the writing slant upward or down? I could tell whether he was having a good day or not just by his handwriting. And I would savor the whole thing and then I'd finish it. You know, you're supposed to send your letters out unsealed so they can see that there's not any escape plans or whatever. So Jesse and I got ourselves little Japanese dictionaries because we wanted to have some privacy. About this life, you know, it's the world together. I existed on those letters alone. But after all of that, one day the guard came to my cell and he told me I was getting out. I mean, keep in mind that I wasn't released until 1992, so I'll just give you a moment to reflect from 1976 to 1992 and remove that entire chunk from your life, and that's what happened to me. See, I got a second chance. I'm not glad for what happened to me while I was in there. My parents died. My children grew up without a family. And my husband was executed. Very briefly. Jesse's execution was known worldwide, and chair malfunctioned and made a mess of it, and they had to pull the switch 3 times. Jesse didn't die. It took Jesse 13.5 minutes to die. 3 jolts of electricity lasting 55 seconds each. Almost a minute each. The people that came on behalf of the press are still writing about it 10 years afterwards. I consider myself a living memorial, and when I die, I want them to plant apple trees on me or tomato plants or something so that I can still be a part of things. While I'm still here, I'm planting my seeds wherever I go, so that they'll say, I once heard this woman, and she didn't let him stop her, and if that little woman person can do it, I can. And that's my revenge. My life is my memorial.